So I saved a few to my computer before, so I'm going to go to File, Open, go to my pictures. Maybe I'll go with the tomato today because that's what's saved. Okay, cool. So you'll notice it opens it in a different screen. So I'm just going to do all my edits here and then drag it over. So my background's all pretty much white, which is nice. So right now, if I look at my layers down here, there's a little padlock there. So it's not going to let me do much. How do I get rid of the padlock so I could do editing? What do I do to the padlock? I'm going to click on it so it's unlocked. And then I took my magic wand and I clicked on the white space. So what happens around the edge of the white stuff? What appeared around the shape of the tomato? Yeah, dotted lines. Okay, so that's all selected. And I can delete most of that stuff. So now that I see these checkers, what does that stuff mean? It's empty, blank space, right? I still have some more down here, so I could click and try and delete that. Sometimes that can be annoying. How do I get rid of those marching ants? How do I get rid of those dotted lines? If I need to deselect them, what should I click? Go ahead, Arshel.
Oh, how you should erase them?
Oh, well, how do I get rid of the marching ants? To deselect, Control D to deselect. So a lot of times there's always a few pieces left and that can be really annoying. So I'll go in with like an eraser and I can erase those by hand. So that's one possibility for us. I don't recommend using the eraser for a lot of it, but you could use it for little like sparks like that, which can be really annoying. Probably wouldn't use it for more than that. So one option for us is our magic eraser. I'm going to go back to my history and give you some more options. So another way for us to erase things is to use another tool right next to it called the quick select. And the quick select's really good for selecting things that are similar. So it picked up all that white stuff, which was really good. And the nice part about these tools is you could use like a mixture of them. So that actually picked up all that shadow underneath, and that made life a lot easier too. Okay. Pretty cool. And one more option for deleting stuff, and then I promise I will make this less boring. Then there's another cool thing. We used our eraser before, which you could hit E for. And then there's a fancy guy called the background eraser. So I'm going to make it bigger. And you'll notice there's like a little cross in the middle. So if the cross is on the white part, bam, it notices that like it's different from the tomato, which is really cool. Again, it's smart. It's not like totally the smartest thing you've ever seen. As you could see at the bottom here, it's not as smart, but it could work for part of your project. Again, close to perfection because it's not a human. So I could always go back in with my regular eraser and just touch up those silly shadows that always give us a hard time. Sometimes that happens. It can be tricky to figure those guys out. Ugh, I would take a little bit more time on that because it's a little chewed up on the bottom and a little chewed up over here. But I think we get the picture on how to remove some backgrounds. So we did 3 different techniques. We've got your magic wand, you've got your quick select, and you've got like the background eraser, which is like the really smart one that we could use in order to remove some backgrounds. Okay. So what I want us to get done today to just start to figure out removing some backgrounds is I want you to figure out like your background first. I'm going to take a pause for a little bit and I figure let you work for like 20 minutes or so. And then I was going to talk about just like resizing, rotating, flipping, stuff like that. Okay. Any questions coming to mind so far? Okay. Choose what kind of emoji you want to base it on is number 1. And you could start just setting up your canvas here and then I will be back in a little bit. I want to go over a few more edits while we're still working here. One thing I forgot to mention with our quick select tool, which is this brush with like a dotted circle around it, sometimes you may accidentally like select too much. Or like, I selected the green stem of my pepper and I don't want to do that. So if I hold down my Alt key, that plus sign turns to a minus and it will like give back some of that area. then I could go back in, finish removing everything I need to, and be done with that. So I'm mostly done at this point. Okay. Control D to deselect all my selection stuff. And you'll notice you probably have two screens here with these little tabs on top. So one's that original document we made, and the other one's just the pepper. So we want to build everything on that new document. So let's go back to my pepper. I'm going to take my move tool and I'm going to click. I'm not letting go, not letting go, and I'm dragging into the new tab. Still not letting go. There. Ta-da. So I want to like center it in my page. And what do I want to do to transforms mode so I could make it larger? Control T, thank you. And then you could adjust it as you need. Enlarge it. What if I'm done transforming it and I want to get out of that mode? So what should I do? The check mark or enter key. Perfect. Okay. So I'm pretty happy with that. You could always adjust it more later. It's not a huge deal. Keep in mind, we want to avoid photos that have a watermark on it. So I pulled up some examples. A watermark is like a light text version over here. So companies put those on there, so you have to pay for their photos. We cannot remove those. So you want to make sure that you just avoid photos that have a watermark on them. Just a little friendly reminder. Okay. Another thing I want to show you is perhaps you chose like let's say you chose a watermelon, something like really round, or perhaps you want your pepper to just be on its side like this, and you know a horizontal paper would work a lot better for you. So if you want to change like the direction of your paper, we can go to image, canvas size, and basically we just switch these numbers. 11, 8.5. Proceed, and you could adjust it like that. You may see this little thing happen underneath it, but if you unlock it and delete it, it will go away. So you could easily change the direction of your paper if that happened to you. I'm going to go back to that, but I wanted to give you the option in case you want to rotate it and fill up your page. That's part of good composition, making sure that everything's like full and balanced, and it makes it look a little more professional. So questions about that stuff? All right, let's talk about adding some features to our project. I'm going to start with the eyeballs. So for my eyeballs here, mine look like kind of like a curved smiley shape. So I was thinking about different foods. I'm thinking more of a cucumber. Okay. So I right clicked, saved the image, and it's down here. So I'm going to drag it, don't let go, dragging it to Photoshop, and I'm putting it in its own tab at the tippy top like that. Cool. Before I do anything, I'm going to unlock it, and I'm going to delete everything but the one full cucumber I can see here. I'm using my quick select. You don't have to do it all at once. Cool. Oh, I have a little too much selected here, so I'm going to hold my Alt key. Okay. Delete. I'm going to Control D to deselect. Erase a little bit more here. Okay. So I'm going to drag this over into my original document. So there's a lot of things I want to do to it. I need to rotate it, and I want it to be more of like a smile shape. So when I hit Control T, if I hover my mouse in the corner, it starts to curve like that. So number one, I'm going to rotate it like that to get it closer to what I want. And I can still shrink it down. That's a pretty good size. I'm only going to make one eye, and you'll see why in a sec. So I want it to be like a little bit more like curved, like a smiley face, and we can adjust it to a point. I don't recommend taking something super straight and trying to make it into like a 90-degree angle like an L, but we can get a little curve. So when I go back to Control T, you're going to look at the top, and I like to call this the windshield wiper at the top. It's called warp, but I think it looks like a windshield wiper. So once you hit warp, you're going to get like kind of a tic-tac-toe board. And if you pull on the intersections of the project, and then I pull down like that. Pretty cool. So I can warp it and I can adjust the size to make something that's more rounded and more curved in this sense. And I hit enter to exit that mode, which is pretty cool. Okay. Now, the thing is, I want to like copy it and I want to make it a perfect flip image like for the other eyeball. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on the layer and I'm going to hit duplicate and press OK. So it looks like nothing happened, but it says like layer 2 copy is there. So it says it's there. It's actually like right on top of it, which is so if I right click on actually if I go to edit, transform, and I go to flip horizontal, bam, it flips it to the other side and I can drag it over. So you can see there's like yellow lines at the edge of the cucumber. And now it's like perfectly like mirrored symmetrical, kind of like a heart. So that way you have like the same thing on your left as you do on your right. I mean, if both your eyeballs are the same or both your ears are exactly the same, it's perfect. But of course, you may have like two eyeballs that look different. You may not have to use that, and that's totally fine. Um, but you have a lot of options for like rotating, flipping, changing the size. We can even change the color too, but I thought I'd save that one for tomorrow. Okay. Do we have any questions so far? The nice part about this project is it's pretty much going to put everything on a different layer for you automatically, which is nice. But a good place to be is to try and have like one body part on here, whether you're going to go with like hair or eyes or a mouth. That's a good place to start for now. So you still got like 15 minutes left in the period. And if you have a head and maybe one feature by the time you leave today, that would be awesome. At least a head would be perfect. So before you leave today, friendly reminder about saving. File, save as. You're always saving to your computer. Save to your computer. And after you scroll down to this PC, look for your school ID number and save your document in there, please. Any questions? All right, cool. So you got the rest of the period to work.